Hello everybody, Chris here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to create a title sequence for the start of your video quick and easily inside of DaVinci Resolve 14. So inside of the Edit tab, if you didn't already know, if you go to the top left hand corner, there's something called the Effects Library, where if you click on that and you go over here a little bit to the left, there's going to be a toolbox. You go down to titles, and this is going to give you the default options for creating a title inside of the program. So the one we're going to drop in is going to just be the default text title, which is incredibly basic. It just has text laying there in the middle. So as you can probably tell, we're going to need to edit this quite a bit to make it nicer. So when you drop the title into your video tracks, you should put it in video track 2, where video track 1 is going to be your default footage, so that the video track for the title shows on top of your default clips. So you can see by having the title on video track 2, it allows the white text to sit on top of the video clip. So next what we should do is left click on the title itself, and then we go over to the top right hand corner where we have the inspector. And with this inspector, we want to definitely change the font, probably increase the font size, and we can also add on things like drop shadow as well. So if you need a new font, I would recommend checking out dafont.com for a bunch of free fonts. So here I'm going to be using a script style font called Lobster. It's a lot more interesting than Times New Roman, but you can pretty much put whatever you think matches the theme of your video as your font type. Next, we want to increase the size. So for the size, I'm going to boost this way up. So for a standard high definition video, somewhere around 500 probably looks good. Usually titles that have big text and not too many words are going to be more effective than those which are hard to read or just go on for a long time. So try to keep it simple if you can. Now another problem you're going to notice, especially with such a bright background like a road in the middle of the day, is that this white text doesn't really mesh well against a white background. So we need to add in what's called drop shadow to this text. And we do that also in the inspector by scrolling down. So let's go down to drop shadow. You can see it's checked on by default, but you can never see it until you actually set an offset for either X, Y, or both. So usually what I would do is add positive X offset, which pushes the shadow out to the right, and then negative Y offset, which pushes it down below the text. You can also change the color if you prefer not to have a black or gray drop shadow, but almost always you would just keep it as black. And you can also increase the opacity or lower it down if you want to make the effect less dramatic. So now if I go ahead and play this clip back by hitting spacebar in the timeline, you can see that the text just pops on immediately, stays there for 5 seconds, and goes away completely. Now that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but we can make it a lot more interesting by adding in a video transition. So we do this over in the effects library once again, that's the top left. Click on video transitions. And the one I was using before is a triangle left. And how triangle left works is that the fade in will start in the top left and go to the bottom right, revealing whatever is on that layer until the entire clip is revealed. In this case, the clip being the text itself. So we're going to add on triangle left here at the start of this title clip. So you can see in video track 2 where we have the title, I've dropped it in here. If you want, we can also click on the right side of this video transition and increase the duration. You'll have to play it back a few times to figure out exactly how long you want it to be. We can also increase the length of the title clip itself if you think it needs to be up there for a little bit longer. So let's go ahead and play it back now that we've added in a default triangle left transition. And you'll be able to see that the text fades in from the top left to the bottom right, and it's a much smoother transition than just having it instantly pop up. And then the title will stay there for a few seconds. And once the title is over, we can start adding clips from other parts of our video, getting into the main content, whatever you're interested in. Now one thing to note is that video transitions don't always have to be for fade-ins. You can also fade out with one of these transitions. But if you want to keep things really simple, like I did at the beginning of this video, you can just have the text fade out very easily. And you don't even need to add in a video transition for that. We can just come down here to the timeline. And if you look at the end of any clip, once you're hovering over it, there'll be this little white notch here. And if we drag this to the left, it's going to create a fade out effect. So it's going to start from 100% opacity, and it's going to fade out to 0% as this downward slope occurs. So let me show this in practice now by hitting play. And you'll be able to see the title just fades out. Now, of course, you can also do similar things with the clip in the video track 1 if you want that to fade out as well, or you can add in a transition from your intro clip to the content of your video. Just to show really quickly what I'm talking about, let's create a second clip that we can transition into, and I'll just add in some kind of pretty random effect here. Let's do a blur dissolve, another transition you can use, and you can see that it gets blurry and then the second clip fades in, and that's when you continue with your video. So just for the sake of completion here, one more thing we can do with this intro title sequence is to add in an audio track. So if you have any music on your computer, preferably Creative Commons so you can use it in any video, I recommend incompetech.com for that, music by Kevin MacLeod. So I can just drag this music track into the media pool, and then if we add this onto audio track 2, we'll be able to easily use that as the audio in our title sequence. Now if you're going to fade out the audio, you would do something like make a cut down here at the end of that title sequence, delete the rest of the video track, and now we can use the select tool and have this fade out as well. So you notice with these notches, you can fade out audio and the exact same way you can fade out a video track. So let's go ahead and play back the finished title sequence and see how it is. Okay, so that's going to be it for this video in creating a quick, simple, and effective title inside of DaVinci Resolve 14. I've been Chris. I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you guys in my future video content.